Hi, welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about Covabulary or vocabulary of the pandemic. So we are in a pandemic, so let's take a look at the word pandemic. If we look at the etymology of pandemic, we see that it's a combination of pan and demos. Pan meaning all and demos meaning people, so all the people, and then it says they added the IC for pandemic in the mid-17th century. But personally, spiritually, I see it as Pan, the Pan God. In ancient Greek religion and mythology, Pan is the god of the wild, shepherds, and flocks, nature of mountain wilds, rustic music, and impromptus, and companion of the nymphs. He has the hindquarters, legs, and horns of a goat, in the same manner as a fawn or satyr. So Pan, the man goat. And then if we look at Demos, actually it might be appropriate that it could mean people, right? But I mean, you add one letter and, it's pretty obvious. But since we're in a pandemic, let's take a look at the word endemic. Of disease or condition regularly found among particular people in a certain area. 2. Of a plant or animal, native and restricted to a certain place. So, a plant or animal and people in a certain place. A disease or condition. Pandemic. Pan. Ancient Greek. Goat. God of the wild, shepherds and flocks. And plants, animals, disease or condition found among particular people. If we look at, in this pandemic, in many parts of the world, people have been forced to follow a curfew. And for instance, in this article, the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky has announced a 72-hour curfew from 9 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. 72, 9, 6 and 3, 9, not surprising. If we look at the word curfew, the etymology, in a general sense of dog, says it's from Old Norse, cur, Middle English, cur, dog, cur, dog. Curfew, definition, etymology. Cur, a mongrel or inferior dog, a worthless, snarling fellow. In Latin, to take care of or done with care. The official definition of curfew is coming from an old French phrase, couvre-feu, which means cover fire. Another one, evening signal ringing of a bell at a fixed hour. I do like my interpretation. It feels more accurate. Again, a mongrel or inferior dog, a worthless, snarling fellow. So when we think of curfew, that's the cur, and what's the few? Well, the World Economic Forum, spelled backwards, the few, you look at their website, the We Forum, not the Us Forum, but the We Forum. If you look, they have a video that came out 4 months ago on YouTube under their accounts called The Great Reset. So let's take a little look. So there you have it, the Great Reset of the current, the reset of the few. Um, if we look, you hear a lot of wartime expressions during this crisis. For instance, lockdown. Uh, you look at the meaning of the confining of prisoners to the cells, typically after an escape or to regain control during a riot. A state of isolation or restricted access instituted as a security measure. Another term we hear a lot of is shelter in place. We see a little picture here. Some of you might not be familiar with this term, but it has been used in this context. As you see, the basics of a shelter-in-place order during the coronavirus pandemic are fairly clear. Stay at home. That order, though, has plenty of exemptions for essential activities and is far from the shelter-in-place of acute emergencies, like active shootings or tornadoes. You see, it was originally a Cold War phrase. The phrase shelter in place indeed got its start in Cold War. Term originated in the confining of prisoners to their cells. So again, we see the association with confinement and prisoners. Another one you hear is frontline workers, and you see a lot of placards or signs on people's lawns, and thanking them, and certainly that's commendable, and certainly these people have a very honorable job, and they risk their health, one way or another doing their jobs. But the term first appeared in 1520s. It was only in 1842 that it was recorded used in the military sense. You see the picture. Most people, even if you're young, you've seen some movies and replaying, or you've seen documentaries showing the trenches and the front line in different war scenarios. A word that we've heard sort of recently is disease. Recently they're calling the coronavirus a disease. And we see the definition of disease: any harmful deviation from the normal structural functional state of an organism, generally associated with certain signs and symptoms and differing in nature from physical injury. A diseased organism commonly exhibits signs or symptoms indicative of its abnormal state. Going down, Actually, let's look at the difference between disease. The distinction between disease and illness. Disease then is something an organ has. Illness is something a man has. According to this way of thinking, disease is something that needs to be cured. Illness is something needs to be managed, such as feelings, discomfort, distress, weakness, fatigue, etc. So the popularizing of the term disease now, when referring to the virus, is really suggesting that it's something that needs to be cured. And as something that needs to be cured, it certainly won't go away on its own. You know, the last word I want to talk about is sheeple. People compared to sheep and being docile, foolish, easily led. You know, we the people are often called the sheeple, and you know, people take offense to that, and myself don't. I mean, I am a sheeple, right? I mean, the Bible says the meek will inherit the earth. The sheeple, as you see over here, herd behaviors, individuals in a group acting collectively without centralized direction. I don't think necessarily agree with that. Sheeple kind of follow, you know, and the way I identify it is that I try to follow the Lord's teachings and the biblical word, and I don't protest. You know, I follow civil laws, as the Bible says, and I don't believe in protesting. You know, we're in the world, not of the world. And, you know, the world is, you know, the GOAT, right? Many consider LeBron James, Michael Jordan, the greatest player in NBA history, the GOAT. You know, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the GOAT. You know, in football, if we do a search, who is called the GOAT in football? Notably Lionel Messi. So this is soccer. Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi. But let's go to NFL. Tom Brady, the throw that cemented his status as the NFL's GOAT, right? Tom Brady with his wife, Giselle Bunchkin, something I think, who he said in an interview would sort of, I don't know, did some kind of divination, something to predict his future. I don't know. But anyway, what does the Bible say about sheep and goats? It says, Matthew 25, verse 31 to 46, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne, and all the angels will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? The king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Then he will say to those on the left, depart from me, ye who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So, something to think about. Nothing wrong with being of the sheeple, of the people. Anyway, thanks for watching. That's it for this video. God bless and take care of one another.